Are you still struggling to identify your gift? Well, that ends today. Hey, Creating Maven. I'm Joy Spencer, your reframe specialist, with one important message. Your real work, it's not your job or your career. Your real work is what you create. And what you create is what sets you apart and makes you incomparable. It's your legacy. I'm here to show you a whole new way of working so you can create with your gifts, make a unique contribution, and finally get paid to be yourself. This is Reframe to Create. Figuring out your gift can be really tough and it can feel elusive at times. But don't worry, my guest today is going to help you with all of that. Sandy Dang is a social entrepreneur. She's an inspiring speaker and she's an experienced executive, and she also trains a lot of leaders. But that's not what's really intriguing to me about Sandy. What's truly remarkable is her background and her story of coming to the United States as a refugee when she was a little girl. And what she did with that experience and how she turned her pain into purpose is what is truly remarkable. Sandy's approach, which she lays out, is a roadmap that you can also use to find your own gift, which up until now has probably been hiding in plain sight. She shared her definition of what the gift is right at the start of our conversation, and it truly is the reframe that we all need.
Many people think about the gift as, let's say you are a writer, you think about how you use words and language and convey feeling. If you're an artist, you think about your talent, your gift, right? And for me, I think about gifts as something that you face in your life as challenge and how you overcome those challenge, and you gain experience, you gain life lessons, and you gain wisdom. And for me, that is the gift. That is the gift for me. And when you say, how can you use your gift in this, your career to bring joy to the work that you are doing? So I thought about it and I said, throughout my career, I had able to use my gifts. And the gift is that I went through many challenges and adversities. And I can be a bit more specific if you like, and how I was able to overcome and making my life better and thriving. So when I have an opportunity to use those gifts to make life less painful for other people, that brings me a lot of joy.
Wow, that's powerful. And thank you for that reframe of the gift is the challenges that we've been through and how we can use that challenge. It's kind of like what Josephine Garnham had shared. She came on a few episodes ago about turning her pain into purpose. And so it's like your gift is your challenge, because that's amazing. That's an amazing way and different way to look at it. So tell us about how you came to that. What's the story behind that?
Yeah, so I was born in Hanoi, Vietnam, during what we call American War. And, at 4 years old, I remember standing in a bomb shelters with my families and listening to the bomb dropping very close to my house. I remember my mud house, the front door was slamming back and forth. And I stood in a foot of water with my families, my parents and my baby brothers and my sister. Then, waiting for the bomb to stop. And I remember feel like the whole earth is shaking, and the explosion was very loud and all of that. So finally, when the explosion stopped, we were able to go up. We survived that night, right? But the nearby hospital, which is only a block away, was completely destroyed. Like 3,000 civilians died that night. So just giving you a context of that kind of childhood that I had. And, when the war was over in 1975, I thought my family would live in peace. But then there's another war between China and Vietnam in the northern border. And my family is partially Chinese. My ancestor came from China. And because of that, we were forced out. And my family left everything, went back to China, living on a sugarcane plantation. There was no education, no schools at all. So my parents make a very brave decision to escape from China with 3 little kids. I'm the oldest, 10 years old. And we took the boat, we escaped on a fishing boat and in South China Sea, and very lucky that we were alive, because one night two boats almost slide crashing into each other. And if that happened, my whole family and I would not be here, and I would not be here speaking to you. So fast forward, we made it to Hong Kong. There was in Hong Kong refugee camps. We lived there for 3 years. And you can imagine, as a child from 10 to 13, with no schools and living through this refugee camp, 6 different refugee camps. And I remember sleeping at night and rat would run over my head. And one night I would caught the tail of the rat, right? And just wondering that when I could go to somewhere I can call home. And so finally in 1981, we were sponsored by the Mormon Church and we were able to come to Salt Lake City, Utah. And at 13, I didn't speak a word of English. And I remember the first day in school, I stood outside the lunchroom while all the other kids were having lunch. I stood outside the lunchroom looking through the glass door crying because I didn't know how to ask for a lunch ticket in English. You can imagine that my life adversity at that point, I can make a choice. I can either find a way to learn English or not able to survive. And I decided to learn English. So every night I sat up with a very thick Vietnamese Green dictionary and look up every word, right? And sometimes homework doesn't make any sense. But anyway, with the help of friends and teachers, a year later, I become a straight A student. And 5 years later, I got a scholarship to go to Duke University, right? So just to get you a short synopsis of my life, those gifts, because I was able to overcome and get a scholarship to go to Duke University, had really helped me think about my life and how I can use those lessons to help other refugees have less of the kind of challenge or painful experience than I had, right? So, for example, when I was in Brooklyn, living in Brooklyn, New York, after moving from Salt Lake City to Brooklyn, New York, my high school had 4,000 students and 1,000 seniors. So you can imagine that in a public school where 1,000 students and one college counselor. So for me, it was like my parents want me to go to college, but they really don't know how to help me. And so I had to be resourceful, right? I had to think about how do I get the attention of the college counselors? And so to be resourceful means that I need to look inside and say, what can you do, right? And so what I did was I asked the counselor if I can volunteer in her office so that I can get attention from her. So I would filing, books and, help arrange things to make the office look nice, because a lot of students come and look up brochure for college and all that. And because of there every day, my college counselor started paying attention to me, taught me how to apply to college. So those life lessons is a gift because I was able to get a scholarship and go to Duke University. So I want to use those gifts when in 1995, there was 6,000 Vietnamese refugees coming to the District of Columbia. And at that time, when I was just finished my graduate school in social work at Catholic University of America, I said, whoa, look at these refugees. They were just like me and my family a few years ago. And I know that these refugees had the same drive that I have to be able to, want to find a way to go to college and better themselves, right? Because their family sacrificed so much, their parents, in order to bring them here, these refugee students. So I said, I'm going to do something because I know the language, I know the culture, I can create an organization based on my experience, and I can help ease the pain of these students and get them to move out of poverty to education. So my gift is that, when I was a teenager, that's why I share a little bit of my story. I feel very lonely. And, I was the only black hair girl in my class in Salt Lake City. So I felt a sense of alienation, you can imagine. And I want these students not to feel that, right? I want these students to feel that there's someone there, someone can guide them. And so I create this organization that really about helping refugee students to not experience the pain that I experienced. Like I was feeling alienated from everyone. My culture and my language doesn't seem to matter. And so when I built a center, I'm able to bring in Vietnamese music. The student can speak Vietnamese at the centers. They can make friends. Their culture is being valued. Their language is being valued, and they flourish.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the joy that I have. And when you ask me about my gift, I really think about those gifts that I have and how I can bring joy to others. And when I see, like when we have talent shows and I see all these children and teenagers on stage and feeling proud of who they are, I just feel so much joy.
Yeah. What I love about what you shared in your story is, and thank you for sharing all of that. As you said, sometimes people ask the question, well, what's my gift? How do I figure out what my gift is? And you've given us a very clear roadmap of where to look for it. And it's not this ethereal, mysterious thing, but you can look to what are some core challenges that you've had in life and how have you overcome them? And how has that process of overcoming those challenges equipped you to be of service to others? And how did you or how can you create something that is going to be of service to others who might be eventually going through the same challenge that you went through or may one day go through that challenge? And I love those two examples of things that you created. You created these what was it, like an association, and you created, and what was the other one, was the organization, but you created these spaces, you created these entities that was a reflection of you responding to the challenge. And so thank you. One, thank you for doing that, but thank you for making it so clear to the listener that this doesn't have to be something that's complicated, but and tying in that sense of service of why we create and what we create, and thinking about things that we can create that are to alleviate the pain and the suffering and support others who've gone through similar challenges that we have. So yeah, no, that's total reframe, total new way of thinking about it, and really valuable and powerful. So thank you for that. So who else have you seen do what you did?
Joy, I'm so glad you asked that questions, because I have been teaching storytelling and I have such a privilege to listen to so many people who talk about their gift, right? Talk in a way that we defined it here. And I'm just so inspired by their unique experience and the way they create. It only can create from that point of view. So, for example, one of my students who is in the training, and he is an orphan, and he lived in Vietnam and feel like he want to do something for the orphans. So he decided that he going to have a conference that bring all these orphans together to figure out when they leave the orphanage, what are some of the things that they can do together to uplift each other. And I said, wow, like only he can have that gift, because he have the insight what it's like to be an orphan. I wouldn't have that insight, right? And there's so many countless examples, like only if you can understand what it's like to be in that position. Another of my participants in the public narrative training, she created a hospice for children in Indonesia who are going through that terminal illness. Like she created hospice for these children because when she was young, she, her mom used to use capital punishment and will leave her alone in a room, and that pain of being alone and no one paying attention to her motivate her to create this hospice for these children. And I was so moved by that because of her own unique experience, she can relate to the pain that these children are going through. So when I teach these courses, I heard countless of examples. That's how people say, tap into their pain and see how they can use that as a way to help others that ease their pain, right? So same thing with one of those participants, and she had a TED Talk. She from Thailand, her name is Koch. And when she was young, she lived in Bangkok and they would be flooding all the time. And then her mom would get sick from flooding because of all the molding and everything. So she grew up, she wanted to be an architect because she wanted to create a park that is absorbing all this flood water. so that the city will have a beautiful space that people can go play and absorb all this flood water. And she is known now like internationally because of her creation. And I'm just so inspired by that. So when you talk about that examples, the audience who are listening to us now, to think about what is it in my unique experience that other people don't have the same insight, because I think we all experience things different in different kind of pain, right? And I think what that can bring for us is the gift in some way. It's a gift that we can use it to help others, like you said, in service of others.
It's interesting because people are usually trying to run away from their pain, run away from memories of their challenges that they've been through. And we're inviting them to see the treasure that's in those things and to see that there's a gift hiding underneath the surface, especially if they think about how what they've been through is not just something that they need to think about as relates to them, but how they can be of service to others. So thank you for that. So how can they do this practically in a couple of steps? What would you leave the listener with on how they can go about turning their pain into purpose, how they can go about using their gift to create?
Yeah, for me, it's about reflection, right? So if they can spend some time thinking about what is unique about the challenge that I face, right? Like, what are some of the things that my life experience taught me? What are the critical moments in my life that I can think about? And how do I use those experiences? How do I overcome those experiences? What lesson do I learn from it? And maybe, sometimes I would suggest journaling, because I always journal. I write down things and brainstorming and free to just brainstorming and then see what come up, right? And I know that often you will come up with something that only you know and only you are unique to your experience, and how that can also help others, right? Connecting to the pain of others, and how you overcome it can be a way to help others overcome it as well.
Sandy is making us think, right? How many times do we turn away from our challenges, our pain, the difficulties we've had in life? How often are those things that we want to bury, to walk away from and never think about again? But what if, like Sandy, we don't walk away, but instead think, someone else might be going through this. So how can I use my pain and turn it into purpose by serving those people? How can I create something that will support them? Sandy's story shows us just how powerful it can be to see your challenges as the gift you have to offer to the world. She was turning all the pain that she went through as a refugee to purposefully serve others going through similar things. And this is the same possibility that's open to you. You can also find your gift by taking a closer look at some of the challenges you've overcome, and then thinking about how you can serve others with that. So how about doing what Sandy asked and getting a journal so that you can reflect on these questions? What is unique about the challenge I faced, and how did I overcome it? What are some things my life experiences have taught me? How are they now wisdom I can offer to others? What can I create that is my way of helping others to overcome the same challenge that I overcame? Good stuff, right? If you want more of Sandy, then you can follow her on LinkedIn and check out other ways to reach her that I've shared in the show notes. Sandy is the co-founder of Inspire Leadership School, where she teaches public narrative to leaders and professionals from all over the world. You can also learn more about how you can sign up for one of those courses in the show notes. Here at Reframe to Create, I'm always encouraging you to create with your gifts, but sometimes clarity on what that gift is can be a challenge. And today we learned it literally is that. It's your challenge. And if you want more hands-on support to sort through what this is for you, then I'm more than happy to walk you through that journey. Visit reframetocreate.com/contact and schedule an exploration session with me so that we can figure out how best we can work together. Know someone else who's struggling to identify their gift? Share this episode and invite them to the conversation. See you soon, Creating Maven. Until then, remember to always ask yourself, what will I create?